Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome back to the show. Today is going to be episode 89 of the School of Shred, the one and only, the almighty health and fitness show. Good morning, everybody. Today we got our Q&A Friday. So before we begin, we got the show coming at you Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you do not know that, you know that now. We're here on Facebook, Instagram. Shout out to Instagram. We are on YouTube. And then these shows are repurposed to Spotify and the podcast app, so on iTunes. So you can take the show on the go, or you can watch us live. However you want to consume the information and digest it, you go ahead and do it that way. Whatever suits you best. So this is the last show of the week. We're going to end strong. So every Friday is Q&A Friday. What's going on, Devry? How you doing? We got some people jumping on the IG. Good morning. Good morning. So we have a slew of questions today that we're going to be answering. And we're going to be working our way through these. So Fridays are all about Q&A days. So sometimes we'll wear a Hawaiian shirt. Sometimes it's relaxed here at the office. Sometimes not. But as you guys are jumping on here, go ahead and throw me a flex emoji in the comments. Let's get some lactic acid building up in the comments. Let's get swole as we wake up to this beautiful Friday morning. So 4 questions today. I'm going to read these guys out to you real quick. That's what we're going to get into and open them up. We're going to open up a case here. Should I juice or blend my vegetables is number 1. Number 2 is, what's your number 1 fat loss tip? Number 3 is, what do you recommend for first-time fasters? Meaning metabolic fasting. And then number 4 is not tired at night. What do you recommend? So we're going to get into those. But here's how these little parties go if you're tuning in for the first time. As you're watching, today is about you. So you can ask any questions you have, and I will address those as well. We have 4 questions that I've collected through the week, but we can certainly go longer. Okay, we can certainly go longer. So this is more of an interactive day. This is more of a kickback day. Hence why I say it could be Hawaiian Shirt Friday. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to read this question real quick, Debbie. What do we got going on here? Okay. What are some core exercises for a busted up back? Okay. We will get into that here in a little bit. So number 1 is, should I juice or blend my vegetables? So this is a good question. There's a few. I mean, as like anything, it kind of depends. But what happens when you juice vegetables? What are you getting? So you're getting all of the water soluble vitamins, but you're getting rid of the pit, the peel, and the pulp. That's where all the fiber is. Okay, so fiber is good for us. So our gut microbiome feeds off the fiber that we eat. Okay, it's called prebiotics. Fiber is good for us. It's good for our gut. However, if you can't handle a lot of fiber, if you're juicing, you might be getting too much fiber. And so that's something to take note of. Fiber also slows the rise in blood glucose numbers down, which is good. That's a good thing. It helps stabilize blood glucose numbers. So I personally favor blending vegetables as opposed to juicing them. Now, it's a little bit thicker. You're going to have to make your way through it. You have to make your way through it slowly, but it's definitely got the fiber in there. I like the roughage, and it could be better in those regards. Juicing, though, juicing, you're going to get a ton of the vitamins and minerals out of it. The only issue with juicing is that it's going to raise your blood glucose, depending on what you put in there. You're basically getting the sugar juice even from vegetables. So do be careful with that. But, people have gotten healthy doing just juicing as well. So it just depends on what your overall diet looks like. If you listen to this show for any amount of time, I'm very big on blood glucose management. So anything that's going to be spiking glucose up, I'm going to be very leery of. I'm going to be very careful of. And so even if it's coming in the form of what the rest of the world would call healthy juices, the physiological response, I would argue, is not so healthy. So although you're getting a lot of vitamins and minerals in, you're not getting the pit, the peel, and the pulp, which is where the fiber is, which slows digestion down, and that can be good for you. But just know that if you're not used to having a lot of fiber and you're doing these juices, you might be getting a lot of fiber. And if you get gut aches, you might want to kick back on it and slowly introduce it. So that's a very good question. That's a very, very good question. Okay, let's see here. Number 2, what's your number 1 fat loss tip? This is a great question. This is a really, really good question. I'm surprised that we've done 15 Q&As already, 15 weeks of Q&A Fridays, and this one has not come up yet. So my number 1 fat loss tip would be hormone management, optimizing your hormones. And the way that you do this is going to be you could do this through exercise, diet, lifestyle choices. So this is going to open up more of an all-encompassing type plan, but that's my number 1 fat loss tip is take care of your hormones and they will take care of you. Okay. And so eating good earth-grown foods, eating the right amounts, there's a few different ways to do that. What I teach people at the School of Shred Online Health Academy is we don't count calories unless somebody has a direct goal where they need to. We use what I have termed called the mono method, which is no big secret. It's just a way that I have students track their food intake, and it's just a hand type method, a fist method, where they don't have to put those get the scale out or anything like that. But we can use that to help neuroregulation of appetite, and then having enough fat in our diet, limiting processed foods, which might hijack your taste buds and hijack your hunger signals, and cause some erratic hormones that way. So taking care of your hormones will help decrease systemic inflammation. When we decrease systemic inflammation, that is when we can start to really lose fat. So that's my number 1 fat loss tip. And, there's a lot of different ways to do that, but obviously a good amount of rigorous exercise that's you're tolerant to is important. If you do too much, that can cause too much of an inflammatory response. This is why I like walking. I like step tracking. There is, many ways that we go about this at the school. Students are tasked with having a non-negotiable step count that is altered through the course of their studies at the School of Shred Online Health Academy. I personally have my own step tracker because respiration equals relaxation. And so doing, walking and going out for several walks a day and getting the steps up is great. It's not taxing on the nervous system. That can help, number 1, burn calories, get your non-exercise activity thermogenesis up, a word called NEAT. It can get that up in a non-stressful way, which helps regulate hormones. Going for a quick walk after a meal has been shown to decrease postprandial glucose numbers, which is a good thing. It helps that glucose variability. Why do we want glucose to be low? Well, we want not low, but we want glucose to be within a good range, like under 90, under 89. Okay. Because the lower insulin is, and when blood sugar's up, typically insulin's working. Not always the case here, but we can use it as a measurement, as a tool. When insulin is low, hormone sensitive lipase activity, enzyme activity is high, and hormone sensitive lipase actually helps get triglycerides, which is your storage form of fatty tissue, into the beta oxidation cycle so you can burn it for fat. So basically you need insulin to be low in order to burn body fat. Okay. So that might have got wordy right there, but there's a deeper process than just the soundbite that most people hear of insulin needs to be low. I think what happens is some people lose faith that insulin management is important for fat loss and to keep and maintain a healthy body weight, because they just hear the soundbite of insulin needs to be low. Insulin's the devil. Insulin's not the devil. Insulin is not one of the many tools of the devil. Insulin is needed, but when you call upon it, you need it to work correctly. And if you want to lose fat, you should spend a lot of time with low insulin. And then when you do eat, you spike insulin, and it can be good for recovery and all that. But typically that's good at night. So anyway, that's, this is a long-winded answer, which is what I like to do here. But this is, your number 1 fat loss tip is, making sure you're taking care of your hormones, sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night, getting good quality sleep, making sure your diet is on point, making sure that you're exercising enough, but not too much. And so we have a question coming in here. So low sugar to burn fat. Yeah. Low blood sugar. Yeah. Low blood sugar. So it doesn't necessarily mean low sugar. So some people can handle sugar really well if their pancreas is secreting enough insulin. So that's a good question, Devery. So if you handle sugar well and you maintain a blood glucose number like from 70 to 89, you're good to go. It can spike up, but it's how fast does it come back down and how fast do you get back in that fat burning mode. So you have to, figure out what foods are going to cause this response, and you got to be testing. And so, some people can eat potatoes or rice and things like that, and they maintain a really nice blood lipid profile or blood glucose profile. Like their variability stays roughly around the same. It doesn't spike up. And then, some folks might eat a potato and they might go into that meal at a blood glucose reading of like 85. And then they might stay up at 120, 140 for several hours afterwards, which means their blood glucose is staying high. That would be a food that would maybe not be recommended again if the glucose reading is staying high for several hours after the meal. So this is all this kind of stuff is like controlling your hormone profile, making sure that you're not overly stressed, that cortisol is not high. So you're sleeping enough, you're meditating, you're making sure you're spiritually sound, because this being spiritually sound and mentally healthy decreases cortisol spikes and epinephrine and norepinephrine spikes. So it might sound woo-woo, which I appreciate that. Good. If you think I'm a bit woo-woo and a bit hippy-dippy, good. I think, this is the whole idea of this holistic health thing. I'm not intimidated by that. But there's a physiological response that we have to being jacked out of our mind all the time and being pissed off and not meditating and soul searching and being calm. And it's that we're elevating cortisol constantly, which is overtaxing our nervous system. Most of us have stressful jobs, stressful careers. We don't feel like we have enough time. We're training ourselves to be anxious, which is training this fight or flight response. And so sleeping enough helps decrease that fight or flight response. Meditating and getting, the stuff in between your two ears right, that helps decrease the cortisol response. Cortisol is not always bad, but again, you guys, everything's about balance. So, typically, right now, from my vantage point is most people are highly stressed and they're under recovered. So again, hormone profile, number one fat loss tip I got, take care of your hormones through lifestyle, which could be sleep and recovery, mental health practices, your diet, eating a good nutritious diet that's right for your body, and then exercise the correct amount. Okay. So that's number 2. That's a good question. All right. Number 3 here. We're moving on. All right. So what do you recommend for first-time fasters? So if you've never gone into the realms of metabolic fasting before, first of all, get ready, because it's about to get real for you. Your health is about to flourish. Do I think 100% of people need to fast? No. There's going to be certain cases out there that you need to be careful of if you're going to fast, but for people who, don't have any metabolic conditions they know of, I think that it's definitely worth exploring. So, and the reason is because there's a process that happens called apoptosis, which is a programmed cell death that happens in your body, where you have these cells that die. And when we fast and we withhold calories for a period of time over 16 hours, up to several days, what happens is we kickstart this process known as autophagy, which is a cellular cleanup. It's like a spring cleaning where our bodies go and they work from within and they get rid of any dead mutated cells that could be causing issues long-term, things that could become cancerous and cause more oxidation and free radicals in our body. So it's a great way to clean up your cells of your body. It's a great longevity protocol and wellness protocol. It can help with fat burn as well, because insulin is going to be very low if you're not eating. Because even protein is insulinogenic, so it's going to be spiking insulin. This is why I am not a fan of many meals a day. Unless you're trying to bulk up and put on a lot of weight and muscle, that's a great way to put on a lot of weight and muscle, is eat frequently, spiking insulin. But realize that is not how you want to lose fat the most efficient way, or increase wellness and longevity. So that's one of the other things that fasting does. So in addition to this nice wellness protocol that it does with this autophagy deal, and cleaning up your body from within because you're not burdened with digesting food, it also brings insulin down so you can get fat into circulation and burn it for fuel. So you're burning bad cells off, you're burning fat off. You're getting into a mild state of ketosis. And so this is water. So water is definitely okay. So somebody just asked on the IG here, is water okay for fasting? Yeah, you want to drink a lot of water. Water's good. You can also have bone broth. You can have you can have black coffee. You can have tea. Be careful with coffee though and caffeine, because what happens is about 16 hours in, 14 hours in, anecdotally speaking, when I fast, I notice that big surge of cortisol. And what happens is your body's getting stressed out, because fasting is a stressor. I want to say that too, because a lot of people think that maybe it, because it's good for your body, it's not a stressor. No, fasting is a stressor. So when you don't eat for a while, what happens though is growth hormone slowly starts to increase, which helps maintain muscle and bone mineral density and muscle tissue mass. But what happens is your body gets into this kind of fight or flight state, because it's a food seeking hormone. It's basically charging you up so you can go find food. Okay. And that's what cortisol is. I mean, there's a thing called the cortisol awakening response, which is how well do you wake up in the morning? You want cortisol to spike big time in the morning. All right. It's the opposite of what you want before you go to bed. So when you're fasting, you get a big spike of cortisol. When you drink caffeine, you get a big spike of cortisol. So think about it. If you're drinking coffee on a fast, the second half of your day, you might start to get really jittery and really nervous and anxious, because that caffeine is being magnified by the fast itself. So be careful when you're doing that. So recommendations for first-time fasters though, because I'm just kind of talking about fasting on the whole. So for anybody who hasn't ever fasted before, that's the benefits of it. You have some wellness stuff because your body can clean itself up. And then you also have some fat burn effect that happens because insulin gets low. It also makes you more insulin sensitive. So there's a few different ways to fast here. So if you're a beginner, I don't recommend just jumping in every single day. You can if you self-select and you want to make that decision. I always like to be gentle with people. So if I'm working with a client, I will tell them, try it for the first time, just skip breakfast until lunch. And that should put you at what's called the 16-8 method, which was where you withhold calories for 16 hours. So nothing but water, coffee, tea, and bone broth if you want. You don't have to have those. You can do just straight water. Water is usually better. Coffee, you want to try and stay away from cream. You can do a little bit of heavy cream. That's not going to spike insulin. I do personally, but I fast every day. It's kind of a lifestyle for me. So I'm not trying to win any awards with, having a little bit of cream and, trying to not do it. When I do 3-day fasts, which is I try to do it quarterly for more cellular cleanup, not really for fat burn, but for cellular cleanup and health, I try to do, just water until the point that I need to do bone broth, because I need some minerals and electrolytes, because what happens is my muscles will want to get a little bit crampy sometimes. So, but if you're first time faster, start slow, always start slow. Only do a 16-hour in the beginning, let your body acclimate to that process. So you fast for 16 hours. So from like 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. the next day, you're not eating. Then at 2 p.m. you break your fast and you can eat all the way up till 10. You eat all your calories within an 8-hour time frame. You fast for 16 hours. Then maybe you go back to your regular plan for the next 6 days and you try it again. And then maybe you try it for 2 days a week and 3 days a week. You don't have to fast every single day. If you find that you like it, then you can go ahead and do it. You can go ahead and do it every single day if you want to, but it's not necessary. Now, for me, I do a lot of fasting just because I have, I like it. I'm trying to get all the benefits I possibly can out of it. Do all of my clients do it? No. I don't make everybody do what I do. I try to use a thought process to figure out where the client is at and custom fit things to them. I definitely don't think there's a one size fits all, but I do think there's a lot of merit to fasting. So start slow, and then, you can go from there. You can work your way up to a 24-hour fast where you're doing a water fast. If you're doing a longer fast for the first time, I want to caution you against gorging when you come out of a fast. That is not good for your system. Try to break your fast with a nice moderate meal. Have some vegetables, have some, some meat, some vegetables, a nice moderate meal, some good healthy fat, but don't gorge yourself. That's what will send your body into a state of shock. There has been some pretty radical effects of people doing like 3 to 5 day fasts. And then they come out of it and they've died. They've gone into shock trying to eat too much. And, that's why you always want to consult with your physician if you're trying to do some longer ones. and not just listening to me on the internet. I don't know who you are. I don't know what your metabolic health looks like right now. So I'm just talking about some things that I use as a thought process with my clients. But fasting can be one of these potent effects. So our potent benefits to your overall health and wellness. All right. So that's my tips, is just start slow, start with a 16-hour fast. Don't let your ego get involved. So this is the last thing. Don't let your ego get involved. If you feel super hungry, you get hangry, low blood sugar, you get dizzy, bail out. It's fine. Just try to work your way into that. And then maybe don't work out in the middle of your fast for the first few times. You want to get your body acclimated. Okay. So start slow, be safe, and be forgiving with yourself when you're doing this thing. That way you're not putting yourself at any unnecessary risk. And then you should rock and roll. You should be really good, and you should enjoy it as much as I have. I have noticed huge increases in my health and my hunger and my metabolic resiliency. It's good stuff. So good question. All right. Okay. We are going to go on to question 4 here. Before we do, we're looking at some comments coming in. 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. Yeah, that helps with some cellular cleanup. The longer fasts really are the ones that get deeper into the autophagy, for who's asking that question there. Yeah, but 16 is good. I mean, 16 is great. You're going to lower insulin levels. We like that. That's very good. But it doesn't have to be 10 p.m. to 2. I'm using it as an example because that's 16 hours without eating. So 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. the next day is a 16-hour fast, right? If my calculations are right. So you could do that anytime. So for me, I eat at night. When I fast, I like to do night. But some people will shut their food down in the afternoon and then not eat until the next morning. So it's more based off the hours. You don't have to do from a specific time to a specific time. You got to figure out what works for you in your schedule. So the next question is question 4, last question of the day, unless we get some more rolling in. So number 4 is not tired at night. What do you recommend? Okay. So we want to leverage our nighttime routine here. At the School of Shred, there is some assignments that I give students that they have to complete and turn in. And we talk about in our live classes every week about this stuff. But I'll give you a few quick tips here on this. Start taking your bedtime routine seriously. And what I mean by that is the routine leading up to bed. So a lot of people will be blasting their eyes with screen time right before they go to bed. There's no winding down process, right? A lot of us will let our minds stay busy. Maybe we're have lights on in the house, we're watching television, or we're on our screens, or we're on our phones, right up to the point where we try to go to bed. And we try to turn our brains off, and all of a sudden our minds are racing. We get anxious, and then we start thinking about how we can't sleep. Sound familiar? So you have to start taking this time period very seriously. So like reading is a great thing. Meditating is a great thing to do. Keeping your house in a dim, like zen, creating a Zen den at night, like a very calm situation, calm atmosphere, calm habitat. Okay. The School of Shred, the curriculum that I teach, it's a 5-part curriculum. Okay. The Shred spells something. Okay. The S is for spirit. The H is for habitat, which is environmental health, which is creating an environment that's easing you into sleep, is what I'm talking about. The R is for recovery. So that's central nervous system balance. And then the E is for exercise, and D is for diet. That's spelled Shred. Okay. So, but what we're talking about here is the last hour of the day. You want to manipulate your habitat. Okay. The H for Shred. You want to manipulate your habitat to create an environment that is conducive with restfulness and sleep and the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system, which is the rest and digest state of being. Okay. Which is all the hormones that help you ease into a nice state of relaxation. Drinking alcohol and smoking weed is not going to help that. So those things are, not saying that they're bad, but these nightcaps, what they do is there's a book that I have Instagram sitting on right now. It's called Why We Sleep, from Dr. Matthew Walker, and talks about some of the studies that have been done and conducted on people. And people, although you might get to sleep easier by medicating with whether it's alcohol or a drug of your choice, or even a sleep aid, what happens is you don't hit all the stages of sleep and you don't hit all of your REM. So you don't get as much restful sleep. So if you guys are doing those things, try to pick the times that you're doing them. Okay. You do you, boo-boo. But like for me, like I like a glass of wine. I drink, but I don't do it every day. And I don't do it, more than 1 or 2 days a week. And if I do it, I don't do what I used to do when I was younger, which is, drink a lot to where it's really toxic for you and really affects your sleep. But I mean, there's even some stuff that shows that even, a few glasses actually stops your brain from falling into deep stages of sleep. So it's something to consider. That is not a solution long-term. Okay. So, medicating yourself, but affecting your habitat and creating an environment that is conducive with sleep is. So just start looking at your nighttime routine a little closer, read a book, meditate, create a dark environment, and that should help you significantly. If you want to learn more of that, you guys, the next class for the School of Shred starts in November, okay? So as of right now, we have about 14 days left for you to sign up to be a part of the next class 102. And we go deep. We do the deep dive in school. No matter where you are, the Online Health Academy can help instruct you, and I will be there to coach you every week, every day, actually. So with that said, I actually need to jump on the school's community chat and do my live Q&A for these guys, all the students. So we're going to end this up. We're going to wrap it up. That's episode 89. Okay, episode 89. Can you believe we're 89 episodes deep, Shred Nation? It's amazing. So that's Q&A Friday number 15. I hope you guys got something out of this today. Again, if you guys are interested in joining the School of Shred, go to theschoolofshred.com or johnreedfitness.com. Both those will take you to the same spot. You can sign up for your first 90 days at the school at the Online Health Academy and get the coaching that you need to have more energy, power, and production in your life. With that, I want you guys to stay strong and healthy in body, stay relentless and energized in spirit, and stay determined in your pursuits this weekend. That spells shred. Now go shred the day and get better in every way. Until next Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, class is dismissed. We'll see you next week, school.